A famous YouTuber just had his mansion raided by the FBI. You've started your adventure. Now you have a story to tell. But how? This is your show, RV Media Creators. I'm Garrett, and in this community, we will show you how. So let's show the world your story. Now, you might be asking yourself, why should I care what a large punk teenager YouTuber that throws huge parties and is very irresponsible, what would that do for me? How would that affect me as a small YouTuber and as someone that might be traveling on the road? Well, I will tell you that in just a little bit. A little bit of backstory. Jake Paul, if you haven't heard him, Google Jake Paul arrest or FBI, and you'll get a ton of articles regarding this raid that happened. First off, I do have experience in law enforcement. I was a law enforcement officer for a number of years, so I understand how a lot of investigations work. Let's see what the news is reporting.
FBI raid on the California mansion of YouTube star Jake Paul. Federal agents and SWAT team members arriving in armored vehicles and seizing multiple firearms.
This was from Good Morning America, and it was a decent report. One of the big things that a lot of these news agencies are speculating, and because it's in the entertainment world, there's a huge amount of gossip that goes into these kinds of stories. Lots of sensationalism and things like that. Most of the news reports that I've seen, even YouTube pundits, they're like, well, it's probably because Jake has been doing these huge, massive parties where no one's wearing COVID masks and he's going around and being very irresponsible. Yeah, he was being irresponsible. He is being stupid. He's being someone of his age who got way more money and way more power than he really needs to have. Now, that being said, let's talk about the investigations a little bit. We don't know exactly what the investigation is. The FBI, in its search warrant, had the records sealed. That means you can't see it. One thing I know is that if the FBI is getting involved in an investigation, it's not because you're not wearing a COVID mask. It's not because you're throwing a giant party where you're being irresponsible and stupid. That is a job of the local police, the sheriff's department, and maybe even the state.
Paul was arrested in Scottsdale, Arizona a couple months back for allegedly being involved in looting there. And the FBI says it was that arrest which prompted their raid in Las Vegas and at his house behind me.
The FBI rolled in, backed by SWAT teams in armored cars, and in a video obtained by TMZ, you can see officers leading these men away from YouTube star Jake Paul's LA area mansion. Other officers seizing multiple long guns. The FBI saying the raid was linked to a further investigation based out of Arizona. The warrant is sealed by a judge.
But when it comes to matters of federal crimes or federal investigations, this is not one of those. Now, to be clear, there are people saying, oh yeah, well, you know, he's probably doing drugs, so the FBI is probably investigating drugs. Well, the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, they're the ones that investigate drugs. I saw that a bunch of firearms were removed from the premises, but that could be part of the local side of the investigations because he does live in California and they do have very strict gun laws. But even if it was a federal crime on the gun side, it would be investigated by the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So the FBI, let's go over some of the crimes they deal with. They deal with terrorism. They deal with corruption. They deal with political corruption. They deal with organized crime. Think of the mob bosses in the 80s. Think of, even to some extent, a lot of the cartel issues. Even though that's primarily DEA, there's some international stuff that they would deal with. The FBI really and truly deals with a larger set of crimes. And normally they're looking into people that are either running some kind of an organization that is doing a lot of illegal activities or some kind of corruption thing. Now, Jake Paul isn't a politician. He just is a young YouTuber with way too much money, and he is really being stupid. It's all very speculative on why the FBI would be involved in this, because it is an FBI warrant. The FBI didn't just help like the local police out. If the FBI is doing a warrant, it's because they're involved in a very crazy investigation that they are ramping up. Now, why should this affect you as a small-time YouTuber? Well, first off, YouTubers like him that have a ton of subscribers, they actually have some influence in the YouTubing world. Now, it really all depends on what this investigation was about. Now, if the FBI, let's say, raided YouTube headquarters or maybe even Google headquarters regarding something on YouTube or some kind of misdeeds that YouTube is doing, then that would be an entire different matter, and I'd be a whole lot more concerned. Even with COPA, that wasn't the FBI. That was the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, that was dictating that part of what happened with YouTube. In my opinion, I think it's too early to tell if this raid and this investigation is going to be something that should concern you as a YouTuber. However, we have seen YouTube overreact to simple things in the past, so I understand that it might cause some ripple effect for you. Hopefully this video was informative to you. If you want to see more of this kind of content on my channel, please leave it in the comment section. I haven't really done too many news articles or things like that, but I'm just giving it a try. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And remember, I'm Garrett, and I want to help you tell your story. Bye.